On the 26th of June 2009, in response to the Iranian government's action towards the protesters following Iran's 2009 presidential election, Obama said, "The violence perpetrated against them is outrageous. We see it and we condemn it." But only in July 7th, while in Moscow, he responded to Vice President Bibden's comment on a possible Israeli military strike on Iran by saying, "We have said directly to the Israelis that it is important to try and resolve this in an international setting in a way that does not create major conflict in the Middle East." We see that Obama is an excellent speaker, and he is frequently been referred to as an excellent orator. We know that the scripture speaks of he will be given a mouth to speak great and blasphemous words. That is not only the word great or the word blasphemous, but actually it refers to one another. So Obama speaks great words. He makes great statements all over the world, being an excellent speaker, being given a mouth to speak these words. We see that he also says that they must resolve the conflict in the Middle East without any military strike on Iran. But yet he makes a statement that he does not agree with the violence and that it's outrageous what is happening in Iran. When we look at all the different pictures of all the different places where Obama has been, we can see how he addresses great crowds, and crowds hang at his lips as he speaks. If you can remember, which we will see in a while from now, how Obama, when he was inaugurated, made this absolute magnificent speech in front of the whole world without even looking at a paper. I recently looked at his speech which he made at the UN Security Council, and how he spoke to all the nations of the world without even looking at one piece of paper in the entire nearly 45 minutes that he was speaking in front of the world leaders. In February-March of that same year, Vice President Joe Biden and Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton made separate overseas trips to announce a new era in the U.S. foreign relations with Russia and Europe, using the term break and reset to signal major changes from the politics of the preceding administration. We see that Obama is sending a message to the world that they are starting a new era, that they want to reset what has happened with the former Bush administration, and that they want to reset the U.S. relations between Russia and Europe. On March the 19th of that same year, Obama continued his outreach to the Muslim world, releasing a New Year's video message to the people and the government of Iran. This attempt at outreach was rebuffed by the Iranian leadership in April, and Obama gave a speech in Ankara, Turkey, which was well received by many Arab governments. On June the 4th, 2009, Obama delivered a speech at the Cairo University in Egypt, calling for a new beginning in relations between the Islamic world and the United States, and promoting Middle East peace. We see that Obama has been put in place in order to bring the Western and the Eastern world together, to bring a new era, a new beginning in relations between the Islamic world and the United States of America, so-called promoting peace in the Middle East. We see that which Yeshua, through signs in the heavens, had revealed to us. He showed how a goat was jumping across the face of the whole earth and landed and pretended to be a ram. We know that the ram represented the Medo-Persian Empire, where the goat represented the empire of Greece, which was Alexander the Great, who consolidated the whole known kingdom at that time. So we see that Obama's purpose is to consolidate the whole known world, the Western and the Eastern world, with one another, pretending to be on the side of the Eastern world, although he actually comes with another agenda. Not that we can see that in front, but Yeshua reveals the secrets of that which men are doing behind the scenes. While I was doing some research on President Obama during the beginning of 2010, I found an article which came out on a Orthodox Church's Observer's Report on the 26th of March 2009, which says, on an interaction between Archbishop Demetrius and President Obama, Archbishop Demetrius, leader of the largest Orthodox Christian jurisdiction in the United States, compared President Obama to Alexander the Great at a Greek Independence Day celebration at the White House. Politico noticed that the president got a little unexpected flattery from the hierarch about his crisis management skills, and said the Archbishop told Obama, "Following the brilliant example of Alexander the Great, you will be able to cut the Gordian knot of these unresolved issues." The unexpected flattery was so over the top that it embarrassed the president and earned the Archbishop a link on the Drudge report. We see that behind the scenes, and by the leading of the Holy Spirit, Yeshua reveals how Alexander the Great, or how Obama is compared to Alexander the Great. And he, by the Archbishop of the largest Orthodox Church in the United States, is now actually called the Alexander the Great of our time. We know that Alexander the Great is the long horn. And we will now see how Yeshua reveals President Obama as the Alexander the Great of our time. According to the word of Yahweh to the prophet Daniel, it says in Daniel 8 verse 8, "And the he-goat magnified himself exceedingly, and when he was young and strong, the great horn was suddenly broken." So we see that Yahweh reveals to the prophet that this he-goat, which was Alexander the Great, and now being Alexander the Great of our time, President Obama, although he is young and strong, he will suddenly be broken. Then in Daniel 8 verse 21, it says, "And the shaggy and rough he-goat is the king of Greece, and the great horn between his eyes is the first king who consolidated the whole realm, Alexander the Great." So the king of Greece, indirectly Alexander the Great, is actually the first king who consolidated the whole realm. We know that those behind the scenes are trying to consolidate the whole world under one world government. We see that President Obama has been instituted behind the scenes, being a pawn for this very purpose. Alexander III of Macedon, popularly known as Alexander the Great, from 356 to 323 BC, was a Greek king, or a basileus of Macedon, who created one of the largest empires in ancient history. He is one of the most famous figures of antiquity, remembered for his tactical ability, his conquests, and for spreading the Greek civilization to the east. We see that Alexander the Great had tactical ability and skill in order to overcome all the others, and not necessarily by war, but through agreements and through treaties that he made with all the other kings, and also with skillful attacks that he did on these nations. He brought them all together under one banner in that time. We see that this is the very purpose of the Illuminati, with President Obama being called by Yahweh the arrogant one, who by great words speaks mighty and awesome words that impresses the whole world, so as to pretend to be what he actually is not. Barack Hussein Obama II, born on the 4th of August 1961, is the 44th and the current President of the United States. He is the first African American who held the office. Obama previously served as the junior United States Senator from Illusia from January 2005 until he resigned after his election to the presidency in November 2008. Obama is a graduate of the Columbia University and a Harvard Law School, where he was the president of the Harvard Law Review and where he's received a doctorate in law. He was a community organizer in Chicago before earning his law degree. He worked as a civil rights attorney in Chicago and taught constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School from 1992 to 2004. Obama served 3 terms in the Illinois Senate from 1997 to 2004. Following an unsuccessful bid for a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives in 2000, he ran for United States Senate in 2004. Several events brought him to national attention during the campaign, including his victory in the March 2004 Democratic primary election for the United States Senator from Illinois and his primetime televised keynote address at the Democratic National Convention in July 2004. He won election to the U.S. Senate in November 2004. Obama's presidential campaign began in February 2007, and after a close campaign in the 2008 Democratic Party presidential primaries against Hillary Clinton, he won his party's nomination. In 2008 general election, he defeated Republican nominee John McCain and was inaugurated as president on January 20, 2009. Obama is also the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize laureate. We see that Obama has been trained in every way. He became he was at university training in law school. We see that he had operated on different levels in order to be accepted and to be able to come to his position where he is today. The inauguration of Barack Obama as the 44th president and Joe Biden as vice president took place on January 20th of 2009. In his first few days in office, Obama issued executive orders and presidential memoranda directing the U.S. military to develop plans to withdraw troops from Iraq, and ordered the closing of the Guantanamo Bay detention camp as soon as practical and no later than January 2010. Obama also reduced the secrecy given to presidential records and changed procedures to promote disclose under the Freedom of Information Act. The president also reversed George W. Bush's ban on federal funding to foreign establishments that allow abortions. We see that Obama, from the moment go that he was inaugurated as president, he immediately made very powerful and very stern decisions. We know that these decisions that Obama make have been well accepted by everyone who wanted these things to come into place. We see that the world is set up to accept President Obama as a peacemaker and one who will look after the people. But in that same year of the inauguration, I found the most awesome picture of two flags that was hanging against the White House on the day that he was inaugurated. When you look at these two flags in front of you, you'll see that on your left hand there is the American flag that we know as the American flag. But hanging next to it, which very few people actually observed, is another flag. A flag that looks very much the same as the flag of the European Union. We see the normal American flag, but in the blue part there are 52 stars. I'm not sure if that's 52 stars, but there are stars in a circle that gives us an indication of what the Illuminati or the secret societies sitting behind President Obama actually are trying to tell the world. We know that the Illuminati, and especially Freemasonry, works with signs and symbols. And here we see a clear symbol that is given to the whole world on that day, that the United States of America's flag will be changed and they will become an American Union. We see that this actually portrays the very plan that they have with President Obama. When we look at these stars, there is another possibility that they are also saying we will unite the whole world under one banner. We see that Obama has been set up from the beginning. Late in 2007, Obama sponsored an amendment to the Defense Authorization Act, adding safeguards for personality disorder military discharges. This amendment passed the full Senate in the spring of 2008. He sponsored the Iran Sanctions Enabling Act, supporting divestment of state pension funds from Iran's oil and gas industry, which has not passed committee and co-sponsored legislation to reduce risks of nuclear terrorism. Obama also sponsored a Senate amendment to the state's children's health insurance program, providing 1 year of job protection for family members caring for soldiers with combat-related injuries. And if you want to read more, also see a list of bills sponsored by Barack Obama in the United States Senate on Wikipedia. So we see that immediately, even before Obama came into office, he had been preparing the world for his coming. And those sitting behind him had been preparing and training him and putting everything in place so that he could, from the moment go, start to exact taxes from his own people. We see, although outwardly it looks like he is helping the people, we are actually seeing that he's putting in place certain bills that did not even pass the full Senate approval before Obama had them in place. We can see that Satan is working behind the scenes, getting the world ready and getting America ready so that there could be a one world government. The arrogance with which these people sitting behind him is actually mind-blowing. And Yahweh reveals Obama as their instrument of arrogance, calling him the arrogant one. President Obama also signs the ARRA into law on February 17, 2009, 1 month after he came into office in Denver, Colorado. On February 17, 2009, Obama signed into law the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, a $787 billion economic stimulus package aimed at helping the economy recover from the deepening worldwide recession. We also must remember that Obama came in office at a time when America fell into recession, causing the whole of the world also to start falling into recession. All those who were in some way actually linked to the dollar. He says this bill is aimed at helping them to recover from the deepening worldwide recession. The act includes increased federal spending for health care, infrastructure, education, various tax breaks and incentives, and direct assistance to individuals, which is being distributed over the course of several years. So we see that immediately the people are asked to spend. They must spend more on health, on infrastructure, on education, and he wants to bring various tax breaks and incentives for those who are spending. What is really happening? He is pulling the money from the people into a new kitty for the people behind him, for the kingdom, enriching his kingdom at the stake of other people's lives. In June 2009, unsatisfied with the pace of economic stimulus investment, Obama called on his cabinet to accelerate the spending. In March, Obama's Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner took further steps to manage the financial crisis, including introducing the Public-Private Investment Program, which contains provisions for buying up to $2 trillion in depreciated real estate assets. On March 23rd, the New York Times noted that investors reacted ecstatically, with all of the major stocks indexes soaring as soon as the markets opened. We see that Obama is encouraging his own country to spend. He even took from the very administration the money that they spent in order to pull it away into new bank accounts. Although people are seeing what happened in front, they are only seeing that he is trying to help them from a deepening worldwide recession, while in reality he is impoverishing the people who are spending more, with incentives behind this. Along with the spending and the loan guarantees from the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department, about $11.5 trillion had been authorized by the Bush and Obama administrations, with $2.7 trillion actually spent by the end of June 2009. So within a period of nearly 5 months, they have spent $2.7 trillion of the taxpayers' money in order to try to pick up and to push up this beast which they call the United States of America. We see that the prophecy tells us what would happen. It says that there would come an executor of taxes that would enrich the kingdom to his own advantage. Finally, Obama's international appeal has been described as a defining factor for his public image. Polls show strong support for Obama in other countries, and he has met with prominent foreign figures, including the then British Prime Minister Tony Blair, Italy's Democratic Party leader, and then Mayor of Rome, Walter Veltroni, and French President Nicolas Sarkozy. We see that Obama has been receiving great support from other countries because of his stance and because of those words that he speaks. We can see that he is specifically called for this purpose in order to be such a great speaker and orator, to bring all the nations together so that they would believe that he is for them and not against them, that he is for peace and that he wants to work with them, bringing both East and West into unity with one another. When we hear this description of President Obama, many of us will immediately say, but that sounds like the Antichrist. That sounds like that which we've always expected that the Antichrist will do. And we will now see in the rest of the seminar that President Obama is not the Antichrist, but he will fulfill prophecy according to Daniel. And he will be a type of the coming and true Antichrist, which both the prophet Daniel as well as the Apostle John prophesied about. In conclusion, we want to look at one of the most important meetings that has happened in 2009. It says on the September 24th, 2009, Obama became the first sitting US president to preside over a meeting of the United Nations Security Council. President Barack Obama chaired a summit-level session of the Security Council Thursday that anonymously adopted a resolution committing to work towards a nuclear weapons-free world. The meeting was held on the sidelines of the second day of the UN General Assembly, where the annual debate continued. The Security Council session focused on nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament, and the resolution urged action to prevent the spread of atomic weapons. We see that Obama, in his arrogance, was put in position, and for the first time that a President of America is in position, he chairs the United Nations Security Council. And we will now see in the rest of the seminar what Yeshua had revealed and how this is the fulfillment of prophecy. We see that after this meeting, the whole world was standing behind Obama because he was about to bring a world free of atomic weapons.